Good afternoon, folks. Welcome aboard. It's the Two Davies on the 25th of the 7th, 2024, minus a Davy. Hi, Graham. We update on the other Davy. He's now home from the stroke recovery unit and he's settling back in at home. I haven't heard from him for a couple of days. I'm assuming he's just readjusting to his environment and learning to cope with his environment. Okay. We should also be getting the money in for YouTube, and I'll start getting it distributed over the next couple of days. I haven't checked the bank yet, but we're due to get it in between the 21st and the 26th of the month. It's the 25th of now, so I imagine it would be round about there. Okay. What else we got? What else we got? I'm just waiting on 100 G's getting on board. I still have the same problems I've been having with Facebook. I'm hoping to have that situation resolved over the weekend, and hopefully we'll get the Facebook audience in again with us on Monday. All right. But as I say, we're just about hitting the 100 mark. So once we get 100 on board, we'll get this broadcast underway properly. Now that'll do it. That's just about there. So as I say, it's the Two Davies on the 25th of the 7th, 2024, but it'll be done again in the style of Indie Truck Davy. So it's Indie Truck Davy out the truck and at home and in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is cloudy, 16 degrees, bit clammy, sticky, rain in the forecast. It's rained a couple of times, it hasn't cleared the temperature up, it's still bloody stifling. People who live in warmer climes will be going, what's he talking about, 16 degrees stifling? This is Scotland. 16 degrees is a peak of summer. Anyway, that's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you want to know what the weather's like where you are, look at your own bloody windy. Okie dokie. Maybe drop a wee comment and a wee mention of the weather in the comment. I see that it's sunny in Methil today. Very nice. Right, let's get going. SNP government to invest 2 million in carbon capture project in the northeast of Scotland. The ACON project has been twice overlooked by the UK government, although it is the project which was most ready to go and most likely to succeed. But in the first 2 rounds of funding, it went to projects in England, which are not as advanced, and I don't think they've even worked out where they're going to put the carbon to store it yet at these projects. Whereas what we do know is that the ACON project plans to pump the carbon into empty oil wells out there in the North Sea. We'll see how that goes. Okay. But as I say, twice overlooked by the UK government for funding, the SNP government's decided to step in and invest and get the project up and running, which is not a bad thing. And GB Energy will get to that. Okay. Thanks very much, Stephen. Eyes on the prize. Aye, eyes are still on the prize, Stephen. It's just a bit further away. That's all, but we'll get to that in a minute. What's going on here? I've got comments popping up everywhere. Anyway, so carbon capture to commence, or the project for carbon capture to commence at Peterhead, the ACON project. Let's hope it will create a few jobs, not a lot, but a few, and we'll get on to job creation like Starmer was talking about today when we get to that. Okay, right, the UK and Scottish government are looking for a solution to Harland and Wolff's financial problems. Now, Harland and Wolff have 2 yards in Scotland, one in Fife and one at Anish near Lewis, and these yards are definitely in danger of closing with a loss potentially of 400 jobs. Now, Harland and Wolff have got plenty of work on their books. They just need to finance and restructure. But the UK government is refusing to underwrite a loan of 200 million quid. They say it's too risky. But here's the thing. Apparently, Harland and Wolff have the potential of up to £1 billion worth of work on their books, and they already have contracts with the City of London and with the Navy. For example, for the City of London, Harland and Wolff have a contract to provide 30 barges to take rubbish out the city to recycling centres elsewhere. They've also got a couple of wee contracts with the Navy. But they say they have got enough work in their books, and they're bidding for £1 billion worth of work apparently, and they are transitioning into the green energy sector, but apparently it's too risky. Well, if the UK government's not going to structure refinance or give them a loan guarantee, then it means the business will probably have to be restructured to survive, and the yards most likely to go will be the one in Fife, I think it's Metal, and the one at Anish, just outside Lewis. Okay, but as I say, it's not looking good for these 2 yards, because the UK government won't back Harland and Wolff, and so I imagine that these 2 yards will be put up for sale. Now, these 2 yards should be an important part of the supply chain for the move to green energy. They should be part of the just transition. But once again, they want to take the energy from Scotland. They just don't want to give the Scots the jobs to build the infrastructure. So it looks like there could be 400 jobs going between Fife and Anish, just outside Lewis, with these 2 yards, unless, of course, somebody takes the yards on. But they shouldn't be allowed to just be decommissioned. They are going to be important sites in fabrication yards for this green transition. Anyway, let's move on. SNP consider changing rules to allow Stephen Flynn a run at Holyrood in 2026. Now, why would they be doing that? Well, it would appear that maybe John's looking for a successor in Holyrood, but also he needs a good campaigner. As we know, John isn't a good campaigner. 2 elections John's been in charge of the SNP, and 2 elections the SNP have lost. Now, John, we all keep saying it, he's an adequate politician, he's a safe pair of hands, but he's not a campaigner. And they really need somebody who can campaign well. And as I say, that the general election, John Swinney should have taken a back seat to Stephen Flynn. I think he now realises that himself, and it looks like they're trying to change the rules so that Stephen Flynn can have a crack at Holyrood as well. They'll need to bring that before the floor at conference and get members' approval, or at least they should have to bring it before the members, because that's how it should work. Okay, but as I say, we could do with a decent campaigner for the 2026 election, and John's no it. He just isn't. He's an adequate politician, a safe pair of hands, but he's no election winner. We know that. He's had 2 cracks at it as SNP leader, and he's got his arse kicked twice as SNP leader. Right. Labour in Scotland and the 2-child benefit cap. Is this the beginning of the end for Anas Sarwar? I would say it is. Anas Sarwar ran the Scottish campaign on elect us to get rid of the 2-child cap, and he said they would stand up for Scotland and pressurise, his MPs would pressurise Starmer to get rid of the cap. Well, 37 of them voted to keep the 2-child benefit cap. 1 abstained or didn't register a vote at all. Amongst them was a Kirsty, I can't remember what her second name was. Anyway, she was the head of a children's charity here. And she got elected on getting rid of the 2 benefit cap. Kirsty McIntyre, or Kirsty McKenzie, her name is. Anyway,
She campaigned and got elected on getting rid of the two-child cap, and she voted to keep it. I'm afraid there's a bit of buyer's remorse going on here, and we're only 2 or 3 weeks into the new parliament. Thank you very much, Stuart. Thank you. So we already have a split between what Sarwar's saying in the Scottish Parliament and what Labour are doing out with. The other thing is, Sarwar's supposed to lead Labour in Scotland. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. The MPs take no notice of him or of our Parliament. And the people of Scotland are about to learn that what they've just elected is 38 fucking lobby fodder politicians. That's what they've elected. They've just wasted 38 MP seats on lobby fodder. Whereas they could have had 38 MPs that would have stood up for fucking Scotland. But no. As was proven on the run-up to the election, the opinions of the people of Scotland mean fuck all. At least with SNP MPs, they had a voice. But with 38 lobby fodder MPs who campaigned here in Scotland saying they'd get rid of that fucking cap and then voted to keep the fucking cap. I hope all the people out there that voted Labour here in Scotland are feeling fucking conned, because they were. But hey, we get to say, we told you so, and don't do it again. And then we get to explain what we're going to lose if we let these fuckwits in at Holyrood. Anyway, Blair McDougall of Better Together campaign in 2014, now a new Labour MP in Scotland, says there is no split between Anna Sarwar's Labour in Scotland and their Imperial Masters, despite Sarwar having campaigned, as I say, on getting rid of the two-child cap. So much for Labour being the change that Scotland needs. Just as well we mitigate it with the child uplift, isn't it? If it wasn't for that child uplift, there would be even more children in poverty here. And that vote the other night there, where Labour unanimously vote to keep a Tory policy which impoverishes children, that vote will see an extra 300,000 children go into poverty this year, be forced into poverty this year. We've had the numbers re-evaluated. It was 250,000. Now we're talking 300,000. We were talking about 800,000 by the end of this parliament. Now we're talking about 1.5 million more children in poverty by the end of this parliament. Unfucking believable. The question's going to be asked is, what is Labour for? What is the point of Labour? No longer the party of the poor, no longer the party of the people, no longer the party of the workers. What the fuck are they now? Oh, I read Tory. Right, let's move on. Also here in Scotland, since Dougie Ross fell on the sword, it would appear that only Russell Finlay fancies the poison chalice, because so far nobody else has thrown their hat in the ring. That's a week now, and only one in the race. So there could well be a coronation in the Tory party here in Scotland. Can't call them Scottish Tories because they'll know. It's the same as Labour. Can't call them Scottish Labour because they'll know. They're Labour in Scotland and they're Conservatives in Scotland, Conservatives and Unionists in Scotland. They're no Scottish. Anyway, it would appear that nobody wants the job. Yeah. So, I don't know when the contest, or the time limit for putting your hat in the ring runs out. But at this rate, it looks like Russell Finlay will probably be anointed. Okay. But it's interesting that there is absolute chaos in the Conservative Party in Scotland, and there's absolute chaos in the Conservative Party in England. And we'll get a wee bit more of that when we get into the English part of the show, or the wider UK part of the show. I mean, I've noted that the nominee for the new Labour leader in Wales in the Welsh Senate is a woman. That'll be a first for the Welsh. That's congratulations to whoever it is that takes to the head of the Labour Party in the Welsh Parliament. Let's hope she can live up to Mark Drakeford, because the last one was an idiot. Right, let's move on. Starmer acts true to form and suspends 7 MPs who voted to scrap the 2-child cap. For Starmer, there's only one way, or it's the highway. He's a dictator within his own party. Anyway, the people who get kicked out and have had the whip suspended for 6 months is there's an investigation, whatever the hell that's for disagreeing within the party. When did debate within political parties stop? Well, apparently it stopped with Starmer when it comes to the Labour Party. Anyway, who were the 7 MPs? John McDonnell, makes sense, ex-Chancellor, Jeremy Corbyn's right-hand man, true man of the left. We had Richard Burgon, also old Labour. Ian Bryce, also old Labour. We had Rebecca Long Bailey. Didn't see her as being that far to the left. And we had Imran Hussain. We had Asana Begum and Sarah Sultana, who's a brilliant MP. Doesn't matter what sort of rosette she's wearing. She's an asset to the Parliament. Unfortunately, there's no democracy in that Parliament, apparently. Anyway, Starmer goes on well. Hi, Helen. Long time no see. Thanks very much, dear. Jolly generous of you. It's been a while since we've seen you, Helen. So, as I say, Starmer is shown his true colours. He is going to run the Labour Party like a bloody dictator. And if you disagree with him, you're out the door. And he doesn't care. He's got 100 MPs to spare. So getting rid of these seven lefties, that'll no bother him. On the bright side, that's 7 more independents sitting at this point in time, so you've got 12 independents. That's becoming quite a block. Right. UK government make deal with the Crown estates to access seabed around the UK for renewable energy programmes. And of course, this also relates to GB Energy, as it goes in front of the Commons today. Ed Miliband, well, Starmer's doing all the bragging about what this is going to do for us. Ed Miliband smacks his oil that he'd be a bit of reality and says, hold the bus. Don't expect any impact from GB Energy for at least a decade to 15 years, because that's how long it takes to get a wind farm, an offshore wind farm online. 10 to 15 years. So 10 to 15 years more of the big 6 raping us. And even then, you know,
energy prices won't be coming down, folks. This is a scam. This is a PPFI thing. Now, Starmer's boasting about all the jobs it's going to create. Well, you know, I did a wee bit of research into this, folks, and it will create quite a few jobs in the thousands during the construction stage. But according to the Graham's Institute, Graham's Clean Energy Institute, once a wind farm is up, if you take the one at the back of me or like the one up in East Kilbride, you know, it takes between 7 and 11 people to maintain something like 30 turbines. Between 7 and 11, get that. There's no hundreds of long-term jobs here for people. And according to the global global green energy, what are they called again? According to the Global Wind Energy Council, let's see who the rocket scientist is today. Hello, Mr. Milligan, you just made it onto Legends. David.
Hi, how you doing?
Aye, no bad. Hey, I'm broadcasting at the moment, mate.
Yeah, I'm back in the hospital again.
Oh, I'm sorry, you'll have to tell people you're at the hospital. You're live on air, David.
Alright, okay. Big thanks to John and Joanne, the two ambulance drivers that just dropped me off. Alright.
You had the relapse, have you?
Aye, big one, big cell. Right.
Right, okay. I'll speak to you later. Bye now.
Okay, mate. Cheers,
Right,
bye.
bye. It would appear that Mr. Milligan is back in hospital, folks. He's had a relapse. Oh, hey, get a chat with him later. Okay. Right, anyways, I say, according to the Global Wind Energy Council, we're only needing an additional 500,000 green energy technicians worldwide at this point in time. 500,000 worldwide. What's Starmer talking about with hundreds of thousands of jobs here? As I say, according to the Graham Institute, I went looking. The Graham Sustainable Energy Institute, it takes between 7 and 11 employees to run and maintain a standard size wind farm, which is normally about 30 turbines. Between 7 and 11. So this wheeze that this revolution is going to create long-term, good quality, high-paying jobs. No, according to these two worldwide institutions. According to these worldwide institutions, the whole of the planet only needs 500,000 wind engineers. So, between 7 and 11 to run your average 30 turbine wind farm. So Starmer is really pulling the wool over people's eyes here. Ed Miliband makes it clear. Nothing will be online for 10 to 15 years. And these institutes tell us that actually once you've built the bloody things, and I've worked on building them, folks, roll up there with your concrete mixer, lay a big pad, up comes the crane, stands up the tower, up comes the crane, puts the turbine on top. There's not even a lot of people involved in the construction of it. There isn't. Maybe about 15 people to put a turbine up. That's it. And 10 of them are mixer truck drivers. Mental. So you're getting the wool pulled out of your eyes, folks. And that's not just here in Scotland, where they're going to base this company, of course, because it's here that the energy will come from. Our natural resources, our human resources. So they're going to base it here. But anybody that believes there's going to be long-term jobs in this, and the supply chain and anything else, they're after bloody chump. And as we know, the only things we make here in the UK are the poles the turbines store on and the plinths that they're anchored to. That's it. We don't actually make the turbines. So there is no long-term boom coming for this. None. There'll be a trickle, and there'll be a few jobs created over the 10 or 15 years it takes to put one of these sites together and get it floated. And then once it's floated, it only takes 7 to 11 people to maintain it. Same with onshore. Put up 30 turbines, 7 to 11 people to maintain them. How many bloody what? Is it going to cover the whole of Scotland in bloody turbines? Because the reason why it's been done here is people in England don't like wind turbines. They don't like them on land, and they don't like them off the coast. Unbelievable. But I mean, Ed just slapped, to be fair, Ed slapped Starmer. Made it clear, bang. 10 to 15 years for one project to come online. One project for offshore wind. 10 to 15 years. Stephen Kelly says he's got a shovel in Aberdeen, he can sell Starmer. What's our Willie? What we got here? Eddie Wolfie, been saying it all a long time. Training their own engineers and producing the wind farms ourselves. We need more engineers, apprenticeships, and get young people. Eddie, you don't seem to have been listening. According to the Global Wind Energy Council, the world only needs 500,000 of these technicians or engineers. 500,000. The whole of the planet. Let's see, according to the Graham a Sustainability Institute, it only takes between 7 and 11 people to run an installation once it's in. So there isn't any booming jobs or fuck all coming for this. And yes, class action, they are putting them in Scotland to power England. The arrogance think Scotland isn't leaving. That's the thing. The infrastructure will be in place when we eventually do leave class action. And when the day pisses about, we'll just turn the lights off. Right. So as I say, the UK Energy Wheeze comes to fruition today. And it is a wheeze, folks. As I've just explained, you can go and look these things up yourself. The Global Wind Energy Council, go look it up. And that'll tell you how many engineers they expect to need worldwide right up until 2026. 500,000. Then you can look up the Graham Institute of Sustainability. And there you will find out how many people it takes to maintain and service a wind farm onshore or off when it's up and running. I'm not making these things up, but I'm also not going to treat you like idiots. I'm not going to put links into these things. You know how to use a search engine. Do your research. Find the truth out for yourself. I've gave you a point in the right direction. Find the truth out for yourself. But I won't treat my audience like they're stupid. I just won't. You guys know how to use a search engine. You can find this stuff out for yourselves. Okay. Right, let's move on. The Tories down that road are also having a leadership contest. And so far, there are 3 names in the ring. There is Robert Jenrick, Tom Tugendhat, and James Cleverly. There's no Suella Braverman there. She couldn't get the support of the other MPs. They weren't interested in having her and her right-wing lunacy as leader. Not that any of this lot are any better. You know, what we do know is that all 3 of them were crap ministers in a failed administration. But, you know, there is a dearth of talent in the Tory party. There has been for years. I mean, that's why prats like Boris Johnson bubbled to the top. The scum always rises to the top. So that's all they've got to play with. I'm just hoping they disappear into obscurity forever. They're no needed anymore. They've been replaced. The red Tories have picked up their mantle and put on their clothes. As we've seen with Starmer. So, the actual Conservative Party, they don't really mean anything anymore. What's happened is the state's made it dead simple. And the police, the people have interfered with the state's plan. The state's plan was for two cheeks of the same arse going forward. It would appear the people have cottoned on to that. Unfortunately, some of the elements that have come in, like Reform UK, are bloody worse than the Tories were. But as I say, as for a right-of-centre party, One Nation Conservatives, well, we've got them. We've got them in power. With Keir Starmer. Yeah, okay. Right, this one's a cracker. Now, a lot of you will not be watching Military Post, but I do. And General Sir Roland Walker is telling us that we've got to get ready for war in 3 years, and apparently Starmer agrees. It would appear that the BRICS are scaring the West, and it appears their answer would be to go to war with the BRICS. It would appear that this new emerging economic bloc is frightening the shite out of the West. And what's the West's response? Get ready for war. Here's an idea. How about that mob down in that lunatic bin they call a parliament down there, the House of Thieves and carpetbaggers and old softs and has-beens? You're right, Ali. You're right, Al. They've only changed the seating arrangements, nothing else. Anyway, it would appear that the war, plenty of money for war, isn't there? There's always money for war. But this new emerging economic pact apparently is to be slaughtered by the West. So General Sir Roland Walker tells us that the UK has got 3 years to get battle ready. Here's an idea. Why don't we all get on to our MPs for 2 reasons this week? Especially here in Scotland, as they're all Labour MPs. Get battered to fuck into them about the 2-child cap. And then send them the wee idea about how about the UK declares itself a neutral state, like Switzerland. Then we only need a defence force, and we live in an island, so it doesn't need to be that big a defence force. And we can spend all that fucking money on educating, on keeping the population healthy, and on feeding the population. How's that for a plan? Rather than Sir Roland fucking drumroll telling us our kids are going to die in another war that they're going to create because they're frightened of a new economic bloc coming to the fore. The West isn't just economically fucked, it's morally bankrupt. Morally bankrupt. And the BRICS, by the way, just so people know, they're talking about pulling out of the World Trade Organization, they're talking about pulling out of the IMF. Because these institutions unfairly favour the West and the more developed nations. So the West and more developed nations, when it comes to trade, get better trade deals, better trade tariffs. And when it comes to borrowing money, if you have to go cap in hand to the IMF, then if you're one of the more developed nations, you get better interest rates and better deals than you would get if you were in a developing nation. Which is a problem for the UK because we're downranked to a developing nation. We're no longer an economic powerhouse. We are now classed as a developing nation. That's where we are. We went from being a fully formed, wealthy nation to a wealthy nation that's developing. That's how bad the infrastructure and the nation's economy has been managed. Sorry, the state's economy has been managed. In the last, God knows how many decades. I can follow it for Callahan forward. And I was still in school. One economic disaster after another. They don't understand economics, these fucks. They don't understand the market economy. While they're allowing people to hoard wealth, everybody else is going hungry. In the market economy, if you don't distribute wealth and if the people don't have money to spend into the market's fucked. The market's fucked for various reasons here in the UK, and I've explained them before. Poor education, poor health, poor nutrition, and cut herself off. Nobody's getting any disposable income. End of market economy. I know about the baby Stockholm getting scrapped. And it's not going to save billions, it's going to save 200 million apparently. So, apparently Starmer agrees that the UK has to get battle ready within 3 years. So expect a drive to get young people into the military. Expect more money to be taken out of public services to be spent on arms. So much for can't afford to feed Waynes. The UK state is morally bankrupt, and the Labour Party are just part of that state. They don't represent the people, they don't represent the poor, they don't represent the workers. It's all bollocks. All bollocks. Right, moving on to worldwide, and Kamala Harris takes up the reins for Biden in the US presidential race. Good luck to her. And I mean good luck to her. She's going to need it. I don't know if the US are ready for a female a chief of staff. I don't know if they're ready for it. But I'll tell you what, if I was an American and had the option of Kamala Harris, and I'm not that keen on her, or the idiot Trump, I would be voting Democrat. So I would. But knowing the Americans and the way that the whole of the West has moved to the right and is heading for authoritarianism as the economies break down and people begin to wonder what happened to their personal wealth, as the middle classes disappear and their wealth disappears. Right across the West there's a move to authoritarianism, and that's because as we continue in the decline, they are frightened, absolutely frightened of their population. I stated this in the last broadcast. The reason why Starmer won't reverse all these draconian laws in England that were put in place by the Conservative Party, that's because they're going to need them. They're going to need them to control the population. And as for us, get ready for war in 3 years' time. Aye, a war with their own population, probably. As buyer's remorse sets in. When buyer remorse sets in, when the people wake up and realise that there has been no change and they have been conned. So, as I say, good luck to Kamala Harris. I'm not that keen on her. Gingers will know more about her. She's a wee bit more sympathetic to the Palestinian situation and the Palestinian plight than Biden. But the Israel lobby in America is huge, and they have a massive influence. As we have found out here, how strong the Israeli lobby is, because it's the It's the Israeli lobby that got Starmer financed for his crack at number 10. And as we have recently found out, you can find this information on the Canary. Starmer cut a deal with Murdoch for the Murdoch press to promote him to become Prime Minister. As we all know, Rupert Murdoch picks the Prime Ministers. That's simple as that. Anyway, what was the deal? The deal was Leveson 2 get dropped. This Labour screaming they would have a Leveson 2 ain't going to happen now. Rosemary, I would imagine that the Scots will have woke up by 2026. Buyer remorse has already started here after 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks since Starmer came to power, and buyer remorse has already started here. Really has. Now, moving across. Oh, and this was a cracker. As I watched Bernie Sanders in the Congress the other day there, as he berated the administration for inviting a war criminal to address Congress. Who is the war criminal? Benjamin Netanyahu. Bernie Sanders stood up and gave a belter of a speech. Saying that it was a sad day and history won't reflect well on the Congress allowing a war criminal to speak before them. And that's who's in America today, giving a speech to Congress. Right. Now, meanwhile, back in Gaza, 150,000 people since Monday have been displaced. Don't know where the hell they went to. From Khan Yunis, as the IDF go to flatten another area to make it impossible for the Palestinian people in Gaza to rebuild. So people are still dying in their hundreds, and I mean in their hundreds per week. And as I say, Netanyahu's in the Congress today, defending his genocide. As I say, there's thousands protesting outside there. And 150,000 have fled Gaza's Khan Yunis since Monday, UN says. The World Health Organization extremely worried about possible Gaza polio outbreak and damage and destruction feared along the Israeli-Lebanon border as that conflict and as Netanyahu tries to widen the conflict. He's recently struck Yemen. He's fighting a front against Lebanon, and he's slaughtering the people of Gaza. But he's trying to widen the conflict to keep himself in power, because the minute he's out of power, he's out of job and he's in the jail. So the Middle East is going on fire, and the driver of it is war criminal and nut job who is in America today addressing the Congress, Benjamin Netanyahu. Meanwhile, in Ukraine thrown into war's bleak future as drones open new battlefront as the headline. Well, it would appear that fighter planes are not that important these days. Drones, unmanned aircraft is the way forward, especially for Ukraine, because the one thing they're short is fucking manpower. And all these things that have been promised to Ukraine. Zelensky's telling us that the F-16s haven't arrived, a lot of the tanks haven't arrived. It would appear people are making pledges but no delivering on them. And NATO, as I said last time, told us to expect a 10-year conflict. A 10-year conflict. Wow. There'll not be anybody left in that meat grinder after 10 years. Wow. Nuts. Absolutely mental. Prepare for a 10-year long war in Ukraine. There'll be nobody fucking left. Gingers is telling us that Netanyahu had to change his room at the Watergate Hotel. What a name for it, Watergate Hotel. Because of the protesters. He should be slung in jail while he's there. But as Sanders says, no longer can America hold itself up as a champion of human rights after this. So, Andy Scott Bryan, the pledges to Ukraine seem to be sort of similar to the pledges being made in the COP conferences. They're just pledges, they mean fuck all, as I say. But if NATO think that there's going to be enough people left in Ukraine after 10 years in the meat grinder, there won't be any Ukraine in 10 years. Mental. Right, folks, that's what I've got for you today on it's been done in the style of Andy Two Davies. So let's have a look at what you guys have got to say. Because I normally, but people who have been around me and watched me long enough will know that the Andy Two Davies shows were only 45 minutes long because they were being done for the cab in my truck. And I only had a 45-minute break. You know. Ukraine is now a demonstration test zone for selling new weapons and technologies. Mr. E, hey, maybe that's why they're going to try and drag it out for 10 years. If you were able, you would join Russia. Where were we? I don't know about that. What else we got? Netanyahu is the world's biggest terrorist. Where will his bucket? Hi, Sir Larry. Have we got a troll one, Larry? Well, better off here than anybody else. They'll leave with some other Bama lane, isn't they? And here we've got it. Sir Larry the Cat, Livers and Two will not happen. And Graham N. Hoppin and Prophet of False Hope needs to understand that some of us ain't buying the shite he's selling. Fair dues, Sir Larry. You don't get any more strike there. You don't get any more direct than that. Lorraine, Sanders was brilliant. You wonder if Flynn will keep it the Russia report and the independence hidden numbers? No, he won't. He won't. APAC's trying to house a bunch of progressive politics. Of course they are. Gingers, that's always the way it is. Always the way it is. The state doesn't want change. The state wants idiots who are just clever enough to run the machinery and service the economy so the rich can get rich. Simple as that. One of the reasons why the West is failing is because of the lack of redistribution of wealth. And we've got a point here. If Doug tells us America is 52% female, Trump's going to get his arse kicked due to his rape case. That's a good point. And Sir Larry's got a good point here. Without wealth redistribution, there can be no economic growth. The word growth has been misused by politicians. Here, Sir Larry. I've been saying that myself. The whole idea of a market economy, in order for the market economy to function, you must have people with money in their pocket to spend in the market. And the only way to do that is to ensure that wealth is distributed evenly. Simple as that. General strike will come, Stephen. They said that under the Tories and never came. The trade unions are too busy at each other's fucking throats. They're about short-termism. They don't realise the economic burden and that child poverty will place on the state, disgusting, diabolical. Absolutely true. As I said in the last show, people, that's how economically illiterate these people are. In order to have a successful economy, you need a few ingredients. You need a well-educated population. You need a healthy population. You need a well-fed population. And you need redistribution of wealth to ensure that all these things click into place in order for you to have productivity and growth. Simple as that. It's no rocket science, but it seems to be above the grasp of politicians in Westminster, whether they be red Tories or blue Tories or yellow Tories, sorry, orange Tories. It would appear that the Greens, Plaid and the SNP are probably the only progressive parties that are really there. And taking that block of independents, which is now 12 strong, thanks to Sir Kid Starver's authoritarianism within his own party. Mental. Absolutely mental. Now, folks, I'm going to wind it up there because I want to find out what the script is with David. And I'll maybe give you all a wee update tomorrow. As I say, when a truck driver in Scotland or a cat in number 10 can see this stuff. You know, you're told a truck driver and a cat can see this stuff. And the people in charge can't. Mental. Absolutely mental. What can you say? There is no prospects for the future at this point in time, as long as we've got economic illiterates like that in charge. Simple as that. As I say, if me and Sir Larry can spot it, and I'm a truck driver and he's a mouser, in Downing Street, well, come on. Thanks, Mr. E. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. A cat and a truck driver knows no more about economics than the bloody Prime Minister and the Chancellor. Yeah. You can't beat it. You just can't beat it. You're watching the great numbers, folks, because we've not got Facebook on, so we were up at 190 there. The minute I said I'm winding the programme up, usual, some piss off. They forget Davey tends to drag things out. Have a great day. Catch you on Monday again, 4 p.m. No bother, Nathan. Right, folks, I am going to wind it up now, so that's it for this broadcast. I'll be back on Monday to do it all again. I might pop in for a wee update on how David is tomorrow, what he's know. I'm a bit concerned about him myself right now. You heard him saying it was a big relapse. I need to find out what the hell it is. All right. And I will tell David you're all asking for him. Now, folks, we're heading quickly towards the 2,500 subscribers. We're on 421. I'd like to make it to 3,000 by the end of the year. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the like button because that helps the algorithm. And please share this across your social media. And I'm off to find out what's up with David. Okay. Now, you guys have a nice day. Look after each other. Eyes on the prize, even though that prize is a wee bit further away. Keep your eyes on it anyway. Let's put this movement back together. And it seems to be going strong enough. It just needs direction. Have a nice day. Bye for now.